from nighttime travel, key factors contributing to these tragedies. The area manager of NIWA's Niger Kwara office, Akapo Adeboye, led a team in a stakeholders meeting with water transportation operators in Shiroro local government area, outlining water transportation codes and penalties for non-compliance. Additionally, NIWA unveiled its river marshal to enforce safety regulations and prevent future incidents.
The training.
Musa Mikhail there. As part of efforts to drive the transition of compressed natural gas and promote cleaner energy use in the transportation sector, the federal government has rolled out a series of supportive policies and training programs across the country. Well, this was highlighted during the closing ceremony of a 5-day specialized mechatronics training held in Kano, organized by the National Automotive Design and Development Council. Awal Salisu reports.
The training, which focused on the repairs and maintenance of CNG and petrol-powered tricycles and motorcycles, is part of a broader initiative to build technical capacity and ensure the safe handling of alternative fuel technologies. Muhammad Saifuddin, one of the 60 participants, says the skills acquired will not only enhance his livelihood, but also contribute to safer and more efficient vehicle operations in his community.
We just concluded a 5-day intensive training on CNG NIPEP conversion. We are very excited. We thank the NADDC DG and the TVS company for bringing this program here in Kano.
They should go and establish, and we've equally given them empowerment tools for them to carry out this repair and maintenance effectively using the right tool.
By investing in skills development and technical education, the federal government is laying the groundwork for a future where CNG plays a central role in the nation's transport sector. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency is renewing commitment to the full implementation of the National Values Charter through partnerships. Kenneth Inanim reports that the agency is leveraging its 1-day stakeholders workshop to intimate the voluntary organizations on the renewed vigor towards building a more reliable, resilient and responsible citizens who are committed to upholding the national core values.
NOAA is intensifying its efforts in value orientation with renewed commitment to build a stronger and more value-driven Nigeria.
Your efforts, your sacrifices in making things to be ordered in this country shall be greatly rewarded.
The agency also appreciates efforts of voluntary organizations in filling the gaps where the services of the NOA could not get to.
I'm sure we are here to also expand our knowledge so that with this, we can replicate this in our various sites and locations.
For the volunteers, the workshop is one that deepens their knowledge, skills and confidence to render more efficient services and resonates the hope that the voluntary work they do will not be in vain. Well, both parties were on the same page regarding citizen role in nation building. So we'll tilt conversation now to look at education, especially the present administration no doubt elevates education on its agenda, with key reforms we're seeing aimed at tackling deep-rooted challenges. Although long-standing issues like the high number of out-of-school children, decaying infrastructure and inadequate funding cannot be resolved overnight, but progress is evidently being made in several areas. We have the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, the student loan, which has increased access to education for the eligible. So we have in the studio to speak further on this Mr. Toby Loba Ojo Daniel. He's a youth development advocate. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Daniel.
It is my pleasure.
I'm sure you've follow the developments in the education sector, going by the reforms the present administration is doing. But what strategies, can the federal government implement to ensure that its achievements recorded so far can be sustained in the sector?
Okay, thank you. So I must say this, the current administration has done a lot when it comes to improving access to education. A lot of instruments have been deployed, most of them administrated by the Federal Ministry of Environment. In fact, like you mentioned, the issue of education and improving it is very high on the President's priority list. But more can be done, I believe. Like if you look at the DOTS program, the initiative that seeks to improve infrastructure, teacher training, and also improve access for young Nigerians. All these are beautiful initiatives, but it's important to think about the sustainability of these initiatives. Now, it's not the first time that we will see that initiatives come or are introduced and another administration comes and they phase out these things. That's why it's important to institutionalize most of those reforms. Now, what do I mean? These policies should be integrated into our national legal framework. The same that has been done for the student loan. We have the Student Loan Act of 2024. The truth is, if tomorrow another administration comes and they feel like that initiative is not important, they have to go through the very rigorous process of repealing, of just removing that particular provision from our legislation. So it's important that every bit of policy, every instrument that is being used to improve education in Nigeria right now, they should also follow that same route. They should be institutionalized. I feel with that, we'll go a long way in sustaining this effort. I must also mention the role of delineating responsibility. We must designate responsibility to those who are to do the job, and this also must be specified and documented. Like the local government, what will be their role? I can speak about the Student Loan Act because that's the one that has received a lot of attention among government quarters, among the citizenry. It's important that these people that are to act at this level, different levels, local government, state levels, they are also given responsibilities, and these responsibilities are very clear.
Indeed, especially in the aspect of monitoring and evaluation.
Very true.
It's one thing to have these policies, but implementation is key. But we've seen initiatives, by JAM to reduce the UTME cutoff marks, to make education accessible to a large number of young people. But again, there's also the responsibility from these young people. What are they expected to do to create that balance?
So when this was introduced, there were calls, of course, for the cutoff marks to be reduced. I, for a person, I'm not a big fan of that move, but it's been done. But I must say this. The fact that we now have reduced cutoff marks, it doesn't mean that the standards have been lowered. No, I think we must have the right mindset when it comes to this issue. Instead, we must see it as the government signaling its commitment to improving access to education. People that hitherto were not able to access our institution of learning now have the opportunity to do so. So we must pursue this education that has been, the access to has been improved with discipline, with vigor, with grit. Education only makes sense, or improved access to education only makes sense if this can translate into increased social order, into innovation. So we must not see this the wrong way by saying, oh, we now have, let's say, 150, or to get to university, it was 180 before, so anybody can just get in. No. The standards must not drop, and it starts with the mindsets with which we approach it. The projects and the initiatives require a lot of funding, and there's the challenge of inadequate funding we can see glaring. How can, partners come in to support the federal government in achieving its goal? You mentioned the DOTS initiative, that's data out of school children, skills acquisition and training of teachers. That's a lot, and we require funding. The government has done a lot. I just think I'm singing the government's praise, but it's very deserved. UNESCO requires, as a minimum requirement, that 15 to 20% of government spending yearly should be on education. Right now, it's at 7.3%. Now, it seems like a very, let's say, inordinate amount, but when you consider where we're coming from, that's a huge leap. That's a very huge leap. The government is going to need a lot of support, And they're going to come in areas such as teacher training, infrastructure, and also innovation. The world has moved away from the time when education is just classroom-based.
Yeah.
We need a lot, the government needs a lot of help. Now, I have a friend, I'll just say this here, now whose non-for-profit is into improving access to education for persons living with disabilities. Now, how do they do this? It's by, innovating or by deploying innovative technology. We need private sector players to come in with these kinds of initiatives. MTN is doing a lot and others in that area.
I should charge you for calling names, right?
I think I think
we'll leave the conversation there.
Yeah.
I want to believe your message is clear. It's all about getting the private sector work hand in hand with the federal government, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ojo Daniel, for your time on Panorama.
Thank you so much.
All right. So let's take a break. We'll be back.
From the Atlantic across the savannah, the land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree. We sway in colors, with undying deeper. We better more than destination.
We are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry life. Together live the dream.
Thank you for staying tuned. Recognizing the demanding nature of their profession, I'm talking about journalists. Well, this time in the Federal Capital Territory, they have benefited from a free medical outreach. This vital initiative by the Nigerian Union of Journalists, FCT Council, in collaboration with Nizamiye Elizabeth
Secretariat. The business this time is about health and well-being. Queen Kunde is the editor of ZT Online, their health as they meet deadlines.
You have to spend hours seated at an event covering it, and then you come back trying to either transcribe or write out just about 7 paragraphs or thereabout to ensure that
medical checks such as eye examination, blood pressure and sugar tests were part of health services made available.
Let us remember that a healthy journalist is a strong advocate for truth. If you're not strong,
and if there is any necessary for other surgeries too, we can handle that.
Health checks are very important, at least the basic ones, because it is when you are detected early, when any ailment is...
Journalists require a comprehensive approach, which includes access to affordable and quality health care, the call for improved welfare to reduce
right, for distribution to the internally displaced persons across the state. Jamilu Ibrahim reports that the grains delivered by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security.
Federal government has been supporting the internally displaced persons in Zamfara State through its relevant ministries and agencies as part of efforts to pensions delivered to Zamfara State government by the Federal Ministry.
This intervention arrives at a time of significant distress for households across the state.
The grants were eventually handed over to the chairman of the 14 local government councils in the state for onward distribution to the target beneficiaries in their respective areas.
We are assuring the federal government that this commodity will be distributed transparently.
Zamfara State government says it has set up a monitoring committee which is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring fairness and transparency in the distribution of the assorted grants at the grassroots level. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
In a renewed effort to tackle the persistent challenge of childhood malnutrition, the Borno State government, in collaboration with UNICEF, has officially launched and handed over 2,000 254 cartons of ready-to-use therapeutic food for onward distribution to health centers across Borno State. Pauline Kujevana reports.
Malnutrition remains a major public health concern in Borno State, exacerbated by years of insurgency, displacement, and the effect of climate change. Hence, this intervention showcasing the importance of collaboration and strategic investment in child survival. Head of Nutrition and lead of UNICEF Field Office Maiduguri, Joseph Victor Senasa, stressed the need for continuous synergy between state actors and development partners to ensure long-term solutions to malnutrition.
The government provided around 100 million naira last year